Speaking of danger, Botham Jean, Dallas, Texas. We're in Texas, Dallas, Texas. Amber Guyger shot him. I think I talked about it before. But she was the neighbor. She went to the wrong home.
Yeah, okay.
She went to the wrong home and shot Botham Jean because she thought he was an intruder.
Terrible.
It's a lot to unpack there that I am not, because you can look it up. I have only one thing I wish to address because people ask me, was I gonna talk about it? But I'm gonna let you get off before I get into my shit. But anyway, basically, she was found guilty. They went to trial. It was in trial for roughly a week. Had a great. I'm gonna say this. Dallas does it again. We always take care of this shit properly. Y'all can say what y'all want about all these cop shootings and things like this, but Dallas, when we do it, we handle that shit good. So shout out to the hometown, Triple D. Stand up. That's what we do. Had a great judge. I think the judge was great. So Amber Guyger was facing two charges, basically full-on murder and manslaughter. She got convicted of murder, which I thought was excessive. I thought that was a manslaughter case at best, but murder, I'm okay with it. I mean,
like, why would you pick manslaughter over murder?
Because it wasn't murder.
She went. That was her mistake to go into the wrong home.
That ain't what murder. That's manslaughter.
Okay, but I'm just saying, like, that man.
Murder
lost
has
his
to
life.
But we believe in the court system. We let the shit play out. You have to be charged accordingly. Murder indicates that you set up to kill this person. I mean, yeah, it was premeditated. That is a premeditated situation. It wasn't. It was an accident. She didn't intend to.
Shit is so unfortunate.
She said from the get-go. Now, here's what sold it to me as a manslaughter case when I was watching the trial, because they streamed the trial live, is that she shot him trying to pick up some dick. I mean, we're just going to keep it a buck. She was having an affair with someone on the law enforcement, basically, and she was setting up to go meet up with him to get some situation going, and she ended up going to the wrong apartment. Now,
so hold on. Let me just stop you for just a second. So she goes in this apartment, and then sees this guy's in there, and she thought that he had broke in.
Yeah.
And did she announce herself as like who she is? Or
are you gonna go into your house and announce yourself, and you feel like someone broke in?
No, I'm saying,
hey, it's me, Brittany.
No. I'm saying, like, she went into someone else's home, sees this man, and just shoots him. No question, no conversation.
So there is I mean, we don't know. We wasn't in there, but so there was testimony about that. It was basically, I forget what he called it, but a blindness. So basically, you are cognitively, you're not really there because you're focused on something else. So she was texting, and when she got into her place, her focus was on something else. So, because basically this was they didn't allow this. They allowed the science, but not to associate it directly to her. To basically say that you're in this situation, you had reasonable fear because this is muscle memory for you. Like I said, you go into your house, you got all the shit that you come in, and you drop it, and you see someone in your home, you're gonna be frightened.
Right.
Now, she being a police officer, she has also access to weapons. Like, her instinct is a little different from yours.
Right.
So that instinct would have led her to take action. Now, this is where I understand that and I get that. And I think sometimes with trial, we get so into the weeds of being specific, of trying to needle through everything. But I think that makes sense. My problem is that it's not reasonable in the sense that me and you don't have a gun. Her access to having a gun allowed her the ability to shoot someone. So yes, you have this little focus thing that does happen, but your reaction and her reaction and the normal person reaction isn't the same. Because she is a police officer, she also should have the ability to say, stop, whatever. There's a different reaction that's supposed to, because part of being a police officer is your ability to have
what if you just have
composure
that concealed carry and you just are used to carrying a weapon all the time too? Like I know people who just always got a strap on them.
Yeah, but they not ready to shoot. Like,
how you know?
Huh? Because they not. This is just goofy. They always like, what if something happened? I carry for my safety. We are not conditioned to kill people. Like, we're not conditioned to protect ourselves like that.
Are you sure?
No. Yeah, for sure. Cause
I mean, it seems pretty like.
That's why fights don't just pop off. Fights build up. So if you was gonna shoot someone, you build up to shooting someone. You don't instinctively shoot someone. Those who do, different kind of person. That's a whole different kind of person. But you build up to that because you never thought. I always say I think I could rob a Brinks truck because that motherfucker in there with the shotgun don't think today is the day somebody gonna try that shit. Mm-hmm. So in her case, she had the access, but she could have de-escalated and she didn't. That's why I go, the science works, but it for her, she could have stopped it because she's a cop. She's supposed to be able to stop this. So after she shot him, she texts Bae back and said, I fucked up. And at that point, it's manslaughter because she clearly is showing that she didn't intend to kill this man. It happened. And she said that all along. You know, it's Black America that kind of does get up in arms and say, she knew that man and he was the neighbor, all this other shit. But
so it was her own apartment she was going in?
She thought she was going in.
How the hell you mistake your own apartment? You was that excited about the situation?
So check this out. You've been here before and you went to the wrong room.
Yeah, I did.
I live here and I've been to the wrong door. I think sometimes, and that's why I say the science to me works. We want it to be so like, how could you do that? But we make mistakes every day. And yeah, if you
and yeah, that's the conversation led up to like, okay, she sees somebody and she goes, what the fuck? Like, I not knowing, since it's her word versus what happened in the situation, because someone could bust in here right now and the way you tell the story, the way I tell the story is going to be different. It's all about perspective. Yep. So the fact that it's just her word to rely on and she's going to try to make herself look as innocent as possible. It's really hard to understand, like, what was the conversation leading up to her actually shooting him? Did she just pull the gun out, see him, and shoot him? Or did he have a chance to really explain?
Now, that's where I am there too. I mean, I do sit in this place where like there's enough time for something to happen inside, but none of that matters because. Hold on,
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm just thinking about you walk into this apartment. Now, like you said, yeah, I've been here and I've gone to the wrong floor and I'm like, oh shit, I was knocking on your neighbor's door or whatever. But once you're inside the apartment, don't you look around and go, shit, this don't look like my shit. This don't look like my house. I don't fucking live here.
Not when the first thing you see is somebody that ain't supposed to be there.
No, I'm a notice like, hold on, this is not my decor. This is not.
You're a woman. You told us first time that you got to be vigilant.
But I'm very hypersensitive to that stuff. So like if I walk in now and I see your paintings hanging up everywhere, I'm going to go, oh shit. This is not where I belong. You're going to look around. You're going to see, like, even if I'm focused on the person in front of me, something's going to be off. I'm going to look around and go, oh my God, well, he seems very comfortable here.
Well, I know the light wasn't on. I think that was the thing too. The lights wasn't on. But but see, these apartments are all laid out the same.
I know, cookie cutter style.
So that's why I go, for me, everything inside doesn't matter because I can't prove none of that. I'm just taking your word for it. But for me, I go, yeah, she came out and she texts Bae back like, yeah, I fucked up. And I think that line was enough for me to go, okay. Because we know before what she was texting and they know after what she was texting. And another thing, the bitch was pump faking. She was acting like she was coming through and she really wasn't. Because one of the things, before she shot the motherfucker, she was like, I'm on my way. And she was really just getting home. So she really wasn't even trying to show up. She guilty for that.
That's on a whole other level, though. That's between her and him.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. These type of lies that women tell should be I don't know the word, not unnecessary.
Don't say women tell, because we know it's a two-way street. Man. Come on.
Anyway, so she killed him. She was found guilty of murder, which I thought was extreme. But one thing about the judge, she allowed every piece of opportunity for them to find her not guilty. So basically, when it's all on the table, when everything is on the table, you can't say it wasn't available for them to charge her. If they charge her guilty, you don't really have a lot of room for appeal because the jury had every possibility at stake. And they found guilty of murder. Then she got sentenced. And that's what made people mad.
Because she only got 10 years?
I predicted 10 years, personally, for manslaughter. I just didn't think you would give them 10 years if you charged her for murder. Because in Texas, you can, the defendant can either have the judge or the jury decide the length of their sentence. So she went with the jury, which was smart because that black lady wasn't fucking with her. And they gave her 10 years. So the jury gave her a murder charge and gave her 10 years, which they could have gave her manslaughter and gave her 10 to 15. So I don't know how that came together. Now with that, what do you think about this case?
I don't like the justice system. I feel like from case to case and all this stuff, like I get it. You have to take all these different things into account, but there's so many times that people just seem to get off on lighter sentences and stuff. And some of the comments I was reading was just talking about, okay, you get sentenced with 10 years. If you get good time, how many of those years are you really going to do? And it just kind of puts value on a person's life. Like if you say, okay, 10 years, shit, you just killed an innocent man for walking into his fucking home. Could you imagine as the family, like, you want to talk to me about forgiveness? You want to talk to me about sentencing, all this stuff? You killed a man and you came into his home. He was doing nothing wrong. You shoot and kill him, and I'm supposed to be able to say 10 years is enough?
What if she ran into his home in her car and killed him? How much time?
The same amount of time she should get for accidentally shooting somebody for her walking in the same house. The wrong house.
Well, she got 10 years, so 10 years?
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like when
I
would feel one way if this was like, the Trayvon Martin or something like that, when it was like some real police craziness. Versus,
and I get it. She made a huge mistake. She was distracted. I understand.
But if jail is supposed to be rehabilitation, supposed to be, if that's what it's supposed to be, shouldn't you be sentenced according to what we are? I mean, deeming what's the appropriate amount of punishment for you to be rehabilitated and back?
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't that be the case if you do something? Now, granted, it was murder one. I mean, a murder is typically a life sentence, but this is really a manslaughter.
And I know the family was split. There was family members who were like, they need to place that anger somewhere, so they want to see the worst punishment possible for this woman. But then the one brother who, hugged her, and I mean, it's so tough because
I'm gonna talk about that, but just in terms of sentencing, because I've always said, really, jail is what is the appropriate amount of revenge we want for the crime.
Is it though? For you, maybe. I don't know. I feel like it depends on the crime. I feel like it depends on the severity of it. Like
I'm just saying, it's just a revenge thing. It's not really about rehabilitation. It's about revenge, more than anything. Now, granted, there's drug stuff. I'm gonna say non-violent crime. I'm just talking about violent crimes. If violent crimes is about revenge or rehabilitation, I mean, there's certain like your kid could do something or a person could do something, and once they get in trouble, they never gonna do that again.
When you said violent crimes, like I don't think she intended. Like you said, with Trayvon,
shot him, so
like she went, but I mean, it might be violent, the nature of it, because you used a gun, but it was really self-preservation. She thought she was she thought she was in a position to have to protect herself, is what it sounds like. So that changes shit from going like, I'm so jaded by my job that I've seen it 100 times. I know because you're this, and this that you're a criminal. You're a threat. So let me shoot you and kill you. It was, I'm a woman, I'm in my home, and there's someone else in here. I have to protect myself. It kind of shifts things a little bit because of the lens she was looking through. It wasn't just the fact of her having police training. It's like, I'm a woman, you're a man. You could be, I'm thinking that you're here to inflict harm on me. So she has to think about it like, let me protect myself versus I've seen it 100 times before. I know because you're outside selling cigarettes that you deserve to be choked out because you're just a big fucking dude that has no respect for the law. And so you need to be killed. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference there between people who have been on the job for so long and they feel like they've seen it all. And I think that's what happens a lot with all these police killings is that I've seen it all. I deal with fucked up people all day long. So when someone tries to tell me, oh, I didn't really do it, and they've heard all these lies so many times or whatever, that they don't have any sympathy for it versus somebody who's like thinking that they are in their own domain and are feeling that threat. That's a different thing. So 10 years of anybody's life, whether that's justifiable or not, that's going to be enough time for you to sit and think like whatever you deal with in those 10 years, even if you only do 5 or 4 for that amount of time, like that's still going to have a huge impact on your life.
Well, it's justifiable. I mean, yeah, true.
I don't know what's right and what's wrong in that situation. I really don't.
And that's the question. I think that's where things get tricky with people. And that's why sometimes I get a little tense about the social justice warriors, they call them, is that sometimes it can be misplaced. Now, I do feel like this her getting charged is making up for all the times that they didn't do it.
Exactly.
So I'm like, fuck it. Like, that's how I feel about it. She's going, because at the end of the day, a police officer is going to jail for killing irresponsibly. And is that not a good enough win to set precedents that this can happen? You know, maybe this will be the example to make others. You
know why it's not for me though is because she was off duty. She felt that she felt from what I could gather from it is she felt like a legit threat in her own home. Take the police part out of it. You could take somebody who grew up just with knowledge of how to use a firearm that always carries a gun on them, and you were in your own home and you feel that threat, regardless of whatever other training you've had. If you know that you have a weapon on, you could protect yourself and save your own life. That's different than being like, I'm out on the job. I've seen it 100 times. You're just a scumbag like everybody else. So I'm going to fucking kill you before you've had a chance to do anything. Because that's what's happened in a lot of the other situations where unarmed black men were killed by police officers. These cops just make this idea of like, oh, I've seen it before. I've seen it before. I've seen it before. And they shoot without asking because they've already made that idea and that determination in their head that that person is like anybody else before that they've had contact with. And it's unfair to that person. It's abusing their power. Her being a woman in her home and a man in her home, to me, that changes things a little bit, regardless of race, regardless of cop versus civilian. It's a woman trying to protect herself to make sure she's not going to become a victim. It was what it seems like. And but at that same time, she could have shot him in the knee. She could have shot him below the waist because there's this idea here in Kansas. I don't know if it's true or not, but if I shoot them below the waist, then I'm not going to get charged with murder. You know, you can take them and paralyze them in a way to where they're not going to come at you as a threat. Shoot them in the knee and get the fuck out of your house.
Nah, that's not how you taught to shoot though. You're not
no, it's as a police officer, you're not. As a police officer, you're shoot to kill. But or whatever. But I'm just saying, if she would have felt like, oh, I'm in this threat, but okay, you have to think about if he's already in the house and you walk in, you're closer to the door than he is. So you could shoot him to keep him from coming at you to harm you and then get the fuck out so where you don't have to kill him and then you can sort the pieces out later.
And see, based on her saying I fucked up, I really believe she shot him. She looked around and realized this ain't my place.
Right.
So it's just, I mean, I can see. And they did do a timeline. So just to be clear on that, they did do a timeline. The timeline was like, she sent this text, this happened. There was activity because they used key cards. So it was activity at the door, and then this happened, and then she sent another text. So you get this little time frame where it's like boom, 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 boom. And, damn, that sound bad, but like, all right. So that happened. She got 10 years. She probably gonna get out early. Now you got the thing that everyone seems to be split on, and that is the hug that happened with Botham Jean's brother and Amber Guyger. And that's the only thing I care to talk about, really, at this point. Because here's the facts of the matter. No one's going to give a fuck after a month. We're not going to talk about it no more. We're going to move on to the next thing.
There's a big uproar all the time, and then shit just kind of keeps going.
And for me, I don't have to live with the end of anyone's life here. I don't have to live with the death of Botham Jean. I don't have to live with the sentencing. I'm not the family. I'm not neither one of the family. So for them to be able to find forgiveness, I have to accept it. Mm-hmm. I can't be the person to tell them, if someone kill me, don't do that. Like, I want my family to find peace. You know, if that's how they find peace, cool. You know, I'm not too caught into Christian this, Christian that. Find peace. Because I don't have to live with it.
I saw a story once. I watched a documentary, and this woman lost her son. He was like 16 or 17, and another like 16 or 17-year-old boy shot and killed him. So at his sentencing, she told him, "I'm going to kill you," is what she told the boy. And he's like, "What the fuck?" You know, like, this dude's mom is coming at me saying she's going to kill me, whatever. So he goes and he does his time, because since he was under 18, he got juvenile life, whatever. He gets out. And while he was locked up, though, the mom would come and visit him. And they developed this relationship. When he got out, she offered him a room in her house. He comes and stays with her. She gets him, you know, helps him start finding work and all this stuff. And then one day she comes to him and she's like, "You remember how I told you I was going to kill you?" And he's like, thinking, "Oh shit, this has all been a setup to the day where she finally kills me." And she said, "I did it." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He said, that thug that you were, the gangster, all this shit. God. I killed that person and I made you into someone who is a totally different person.
Oh, that shit gave me the chills. Like, what?
I know. But you know, the fact,
I was nervous.
Do you know how strong of a woman that has to be to take in? She looked at that boy and understood his upbringing, his lifestyle, his outlook on life. Up until that point, he was so misled that even though he killed her child, she wanted to give him a chance. She wanted to give him an opportunity to have a different life.
I don't think I would want to walk around with that kind of anger either.
No, it destroys people.
And that's why, like, I kind of get frustrated with not even that. Like, again, if that's how they choose to move on, I've already moved on. Like, they cry about that probably all the time. They have to deal with court. They do this shit all the time. I'm gonna go to work or whatever. I'm gonna turn on YouTube. I'm gonna watch the trial. Then I'm gonna go eat some shit. Like, I'm gonna go handle my life, and most of us will. So it's always kind of boggling. But what the fuck? Her soul just left 3 times, 4 times. Get it to me. But bless you.
Thank you.
But I don't think it's fair for, you know what? But that's what we do. We like commentary. This is our little piece of commentary to say what you would have and would do. And that's cool. Whatever. You have at it. But I don't think anyone should go at these people's family members to say that they are wrong for handling their life, who is really the one that's changed by this. Ours is just commentary on the justice system, however we like it or dislike it. So for me, it sounds like shit, but I'm done with it. Mm-hmm. I saw it. It happened. It was good drama. I do look at it like a police officer is going to jail for this. She was definitely overcharged with a murder, but we get overcharged a lot too. So I'll take it. And it's fucked up, but this is that thing. It's like, it's not really, to me, about rehabilitation. It's about revenge. Mm-hmm. And we got one. We got to win. I don't know why I said we, because I just said I'm moving on with my life. But I think that's why I don't like the Sean Kings of the world and people like that, because they whole agenda is to profit off of the pain of the culture. Anytime we're sad or mad or in an uproar, that's when they make the most money. And they are sometimes the ones that are facilitating those conversations. And I think for us as people of color, we have to get to a place where we start to stop normalizing anger and be productive. Like, Absolutely. What are we doing to yeah, these bad things will continue to happen. Because somehow conveniently they seem to stop happening at a high clip that they used to happen last year, which they have not stopped happening. We just stopped talking about it. But what have we done to be more productive from there other than be angry every time the next one comes up?
Right.
Like Amber Guyger, this wasn't this big racial case as we make it seem out to be. It wasn't. It just happened at a time where a lot of it was happening.
Well,
and we
like
went, there's another one.
That the situation where I had, it was like in the car and the dude came up or whatever, and I was like, I locked the door. It wasn't about race. It was about the fact that he was a man, and I had to, yeah, right over there.
You know,
I had to think about the level of threat, as me as a woman and him as a man. And I just wonder for her how much of that was the same thing. It's not about black versus white or cop versus civilian. It's like, I'm a woman. I have to protect myself.
And that's what I think it was, honestly. And she was feeling like motherfuckers, like she could have just like, man, don't act like you ain't never just been startled by someone saying, hey, how are you? And you wasn't ready for the shit. Mm-hmm. She was texting. She was already lying to a nigga. She was doing this, coming to the crib, walked into a crib, thought it was hers. And they said because my thing was like, how the fuck she walked in? But with a key card, because like, man, that bitch was cracked a little bit. You know, he probably was waiting on something.
Could have been.
But there was something faulty with their
So her
system.
card worked on his door?
I think that's what happened. And they were saying that the family is going to sue Southside Flats because of the key entry thing. So
yeah, because that shit is extremely
clearly
unsafe. Like, yeah, right.
You could get killed, huh?
Yeah, you sure could. And you're home.
Yeah,
wow.
That's why it's like, but that wasn't in the thing. But that's why I go to like, this really wasn't that big case. This
not
wasn't
like some
the
of the
one.
other ones, yeah.
And
right.
It'd be nice if this was one of those, but this wasn't the one. This was probably going to happen this way if it wasn't on TV.